Subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon so that you know when live we go. Hello and welcome to Daily News Simplified, an easy and smart way of covering newspaper for civil service examination. We are going to discuss today's The Hindu Delhi edition dated 27th April 2020. The articles we are going to take up for discussion has been tabulated before you and time stamping for the same has been given in the description section in case you want to jump to a particular article. This news is from page number 5. CERT-In to conduct security audit of COVID-19 data. The news is related with larger sprinkler controversy and the issue is important to understand for the mains examination. It is relevant to various topics mentioned in the syllabus. For instance, basics of cyber security mentioned under GS paper 3. In GS paper 2, there's a very important topic mentioned, important aspects of governance, transparency and accountability, and this issue will be a test for models, success and limitation of e-governance. You should have a list of all such issues from the current affairs under your notes of e-governance under GS paper 2. Although by now you must very well be aware of a sprinkler controversy because it has been in news for a week. But still, to understand and appreciate this news, I'll just brief you a little on what the controversy is. What has happened is Kerala government has allowed the US-based tech firm Sprinkler to collect and analyze data on health of 1.75 lakh people under quarantine. So the foot soldiers and medical workers, they are collecting data on the present health condition of people under quarantine and their past medical history to assist doctors and medical professionals in making informed choice about possible hospitalization. You understand that in coronavirus infection, the past medical history is an important determinant whether the patients will get into critical condition or not. Medical history of diabetes, heart attack, renal problem will put the patient under more vulnerable condition. So the overall idea was to make an informed medical decision and deal with the COVID-19 pandemic in an effective manner. However, there have been serious questions being raised. First and foremost, there was no consent taken by the patients in collecting the data. And Supreme Court has reiterated it several times in Aadhaar judgment in the privacy judgment Puttaswamy case that consent is critical for data security regime. And since privacy now is a fundamental right, so dealing with issue of privacy and consent must be done as per the rule of law and principles of good governance. Also, there was no international bidding. And decision to give contract to Sprinkler was not taken by the cabinet, rather it was a decision of Department of Electronics and Information Technology. Further, the tool to collect and analyze the data was developed by Sprinkler. It was not indigenously developed by Center for Development of Imaging Technology under Government of Kerala or Kerala State IT Mission. Question also has been raised on the server that was used to host the data, and the allegation is that the server to host the data was server of Sprinkler rather than server of the government. And because of these, the private sensitive medical data of citizens was put to risk to be transferred to pharmaceutical companies. There's also a background to this because Sprinkler also works as PR agency. It has worked extensively in the election campaign of President Donald Trump in 2016. And Sprinkler is a declared company to provide data as a feedback to various companies to improve their performance. And being a company of this nature, the question will be raised that data may ultimately land in the hands of profit-driven pharmaceutical companies. But the government of Kerala has come up with some explanation. They have said that they have chosen the tool of Sprinkler because it is offered free of cost. And since the company has expertise in collecting the data from the citizens, a software was already ready with the company that was just to be customized a little to meet the need of the state government. And in the interest of taking a swift decision, such a software of the company was chosen. The privacy policy of the company was read and enforced into the agreement that the state government got with Sprinkler, and also there was a non-disclosure clause in the agreement as per which the data cannot be transferred to a third party, and the collected data belongs to the Kerala government. Although initially the data were collected on a platform with domain name citizencenter.sprinkler.com, which was later changed to citizencenter.kerala.gov.in. So question is serious whether the server used to host the data is that of a sprinkler or is that of government. Kerala government has also clarified that every employee participating in the data collection and analysis has undergone compulsorily data protection and information security training. And Sprinkler also has appointed an experienced data protection officer. So certain safeguards were in place, but there are two prominent questions out of the entire controversy. First, why not the consent was taken and why not the bidding was done? Look, as far as bidding goes, the government can say that swift decision was to be taken to deal with the pandemic. But there is no excuse on why not the consent of citizen was taken. And recently, the Kerala High Court has directed the government to take the consent of all citizens from whom data are being collected. From the exam perspective, I'm giving you a general framework to analyze any issue, like the sprinkler controversy. First of all, you have to look at these issues with the lens of right to privacy as a fundamental right. Since it's a fundamental right, it should be treated differently. It should be worked upon as per the rule of law and the good principles of good governance. You cannot be leaving it to the executive discretion. Puttaswamy judgment has declared right to privacy as fundamental right, and there also the court reiterated the importance of consent in data security regime. Then you have to look at it from the lens of good governance. You already must be having certain pillars of good governance on your fingertips. I'm giving you some which is relevant to this case. For example, accountability, government effectiveness, regulatory quality, rule of law, control of corruption. These things must be taken into account whenever government is taking a major policy decision. In this case, to enforce accountability, there should be an external audit which has been announced to be taken up by CERT-In. The steps taken by government must be effective. There must be some profound changes in the life of the citizens. In this case, swift action was required. So government got into agreement with a private company, fine. Government bypassed bidding, fine. But it must be ensured that decision was taken after due diligence. So the decisions should have been taken at the cabinet level rather than a secretary of department of government. Regulatory quality should be up to the mark. For instance, in this case, non-disclosure clause was added into the agreement. Company's privacy policy was also enforced, and the company also appointed an experienced data security expert for the project. Rule of law must be ensured, especially when you are dealing with a fundamental right. Consent principle is part of privacy legislations in our country. That should not be violated. With good regulatory quality, you must also ensure that there is control of corruption. And it must be ensured through integrity clause or integrity pact or in any other way that sensitive data do not land in the hands of profit-seeking pharmaceutical companies. So these two are from paper 2. Let's talk about two issues from paper 4. Probity. Probity has to be ensured. The probity of the Office of the Secretary of Department of Electronics and Information Technology of Government of Kerala must be ensured. Probity is not only integrity. The decision by the Secretary might have been taken in good faith, might have been taken to deal with the epidemic, might have been taken with the aim to swiftly deal with the epidemic. But perception of people also have to be managed, and that is part of probity. People must perceive you as taking your decisions as per the law, as per the principles of good governance, and in the interest of citizens. And to manage this perception, you have to be open in your decision. You have to be open to audit, as the Kerala government has recently announced. Then there is issue of perceived conflict of interest. Although there has been no allegations of financial transaction between the company and the government, but still, the terms of agreement must be put transparently in the public domain, as has been done. An audit by credible agency must be done, as has been announced. In 2018 mains, UPSC asked a question in GS paper 4, difference between actual and potential conflict of interest. This is a classic case of potential conflict of interest. The head of the sprinkler is a man from Kerala, which the state government has put out to show that it has been done in good faith. But the same information can also be perceived to be a potential conflict of interest for the government. And let's discuss the issue from GS paper 3. In the preamble of the Competition Act 2002, the aim of the act has been mentioned as to ensure free and healthy competition in economic activities in the country for faster and inclusive growth and development of the economy. That means competition is critical for inclusive growth and development of the economy. This point you can use anywhere, wherever bidding has been bypassed by the government. These are the broad these are the broad so these are the broad dimensions that you have to think upon in analyzing an issue and writing an answer on issue like sprinkler controversy and other related issues. Now let's come to the news. Kerala government has decided to carry out a security audit by CERT-In, which is a nodal agency responsible for dealing with cybersecurity threats in India. And CERT-In will carry out the security audit of various data collected by government departments and agencies in relation to COVID-19. And it will check whether the data are being collected and analyzed as per the norms of the government or not. Now we will discuss this lead article from page number 7 titled At the Edge of a New Nuclear Arms Race. Time has changed. Cold War is over. The world has changed. World no longer is unipolar. US sees China and Russia as threat. They are rivals. And whenever there is rivalry, there is competition. And in this context, the article highlights that recently United States State Department has come up with a report that China might be conducting nuclear tests with low yields at Lop Nu test site. And this is in violation of its comprehensive nuclear test ban treaty undertakings. First of all, where is Lop Nu test site? It is in China. What is low yield? Low yield meaning the reaction are being carried out to a level where long chain reactions which are self-sustaining are not happening. Meaning bombs are not being made out of the nuclear reaction. And thirdly, although China has signed comprehensive nuclear test ban treaty, but it has not ratified it yet. In fact, CTBT has not come into force at all. Two things are here to understand in this article. First, what is Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty and why it has failed to take off? And second, which is a natural consequence of the first, in case CTBT fail, then how will it lead to nuclear arms race? Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty is a multilateral treaty adopted by United Nations General Assembly. And the aim of that treaty is to prohibit all parties from carrying out any nuclear weapon test explosion or any other nuclear explosion. Meaning it is banning all kind of nuclear testing. But the phrase used in the agreement is very vague and we'll come to it in a short while. During the negotiation of the treaty, United States wanted a blanket ban on all kind of nuclear tests. But France and China were not ready for it, and according to them, they needed more time and more testing to validate new designs of the nuclear technology that they were developing. And according to them, US has done enough testing already and they must get more opportunity to do their own testings. And Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty did not imply an end to nuclear deterrence. So countries will still possess the nuclear power and the nuclear deterrence doctrine still will be there. And in order to have nuclear deterrence, development of technology is required, and for that purpose, testing is required. That was one issue that went on with negotiations. Secondly, India pulled out of the negotiation after the suggestion given by India to integrate CTBT in the disarmament framework. But the developed nations were not ready for disarmament, and disarmament framework was not taken together by CTBT. India, disappointed by this, pulled out of the treaty. Because all the nations were not coming on board, US came up with this ingenious idea of zero yield. Zero yield means there will be prohibition on supercritical hydronuclear tests. But subcritical hydronuclear tests will be allowed. Means testing those explosions that produce self-sustaining supercritical chain reaction, which may result in development of a bomb, although it may also be used for peaceful purposes, but supercritical hydronuclear tests were banned. So what was supposed to be a comprehensive nuclear test ban actually became a ban on supercritical hydronuclear tests. And further, to bring all the countries on board, arm twisting was done to developing countries, on India too. And in the treaty, there's a list of Annex 2 countries. And in that list, there are 44 countries who have been mentioned by name, including India. And a new clause was added that when these 44 countries will sign and ratify the treaty, only then the treaty will come into force. But out of these 44 countries, 8 have not done so. China, Egypt, Iran, Israel and US have signed but not ratified. And North Korea, India and Pakistan are the 3 who have not signed yet. And because of this, the treaty has not come into force. But if treaty has not come into force, why are we talking about it? We are talking about it because nevertheless, a CTBT organization has been established in Vienna. And CTBTO runs an elaborate verification system and also have many monitoring stations. So it's an important organization coming under this treaty that works to keep a check on nuclear tests. The author makes compelling argument that if CTBT fails, there is no way the world can stop itself from moving into an arms race. And the signs of nuclear arms race has already begun. The author points out that in the Nevada test site, which is in US, there have been seeing lots of activity happening. And perhaps since 1992, this site, which has been quiet, will be used for nuclear testing. The new Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty, which limits the US and the Russian nuclear arsenal, will expire in 2021. And US President Donald Trump has already indicated that he does not have any plan to extend it. On the promise of Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty. This treaty is between US and Russia, and this bans all nuclear and conventional ground-launched ballistic missile. Not sea-launched, water-launched, air-launched, it is only ground-launched ballistic missile and cruise missiles with range of 500 to 550 km. But US has shown its intention that it may not abide by the provision of the treaty. Russia recently became the first country to have hypersonic cruise missile system, which is Avangard. Avangard is the world's first hypersonic cruise missile system. US does not have hypersonic cruise missile system. Although China also has it, DF-17 missile of China is also hypersonic cruise missile, but the range and maneuvering of Avangard is unmatched. And both countries, Russia and China, are heavily investing in offensive cyber capability that may be targeting many nuclear facilities. Signs have started to emerge that there may start a nuclear arms race, and with the demise of ill-fated CTBT, it may just become inevitable. There are two news in today's newspaper on page number 3 and page number 5 related to plasma therapy. Plasma therapy is an important topic for the coming prelims and mains exam. We have done plasma therapy in detail in the DNS dated 19th April 2020. Make sure that you understand the concept, attempt questions on prelims in the previous DNS, and today also I'll add one question in the DNS quiz. Have a write-up on the topic in 250 words and prepare yourself for the mains exam as well, because there also it's going to be an important topic. There is an article in today's newspaper titled Immunocompromised. It just touches upon what a compromised immune system is. Immune system, because of COVID-19, is a very, very important topic for the coming prelims exam. Make sure you have a note separately on immune system of human body. Human immunity has already been discussed in the DNS multiple times. For instance, in the DNS dated 8th of April 2020, Webhub sir discussed the concept of cytokine response. In the DNS of 19th April, I discussed with you the concept of antibodies. In the DNS of 22nd April 2020, Nagendra sir discussed the concept of immunoglobulins. Don't forget to take the notes out of these PDF and make your own comprehensive notes on immune system. In the PDF of today, I have added notes on immune system made from NCERT. You can go through it and add to your personal notes of immune system. There are many information in various articles in today's newspaper that will be important for prelims exam. So let's see all of them together as prelims summary. It has been mentioned in the paper that exercise Pitch Black has been cancelled by Australia in wake of COVID-19. What you have to know here is it's a biennial multinational warfare exercise. It is hosted by Royal Australian Air Force. You have to remember that this is an exercise of Air Force, not of Navy. And India in 2018 participated for the first time. Before that, it was participating as an observer. There are many participating nations. It began way back in 1990s, starting with Australia and Singapore, and slowly, more and more countries were added to it. Canada, France, Germany, Indonesia, Netherlands, New Zealand, Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia, United States, and India have been added. Atal Innovation Mission, you already know, UPSC has asked this in the prelims exam of 2017. Under this, there is Atal Tinkering Lab, and it was in news in today's newspaper because Tinkering from Home, this is a new online initiative related to artificial intelligence that has been started. As many online courses for students have been started, on the same line, Tinkering from Home has also been started. The most basic thing that you have to know is it is an initiative of Niti Aayog. It has a dual purpose: A, to promote a culture of innovation, and B, to promote entrepreneurship through self-employment and talent utilization, SETU initiative, which was already in place. And because of Atal Innovation Mission and other initiatives taken by Government of India, India's ranking in Global Innovation Index have been improving consistently since last 5 years, and India has jumped 29 spots from 2014. Back then India's ranking was 81, then it went on to 57 in 2018, and in 2019 our ranking was 52. What you have to know is the rank of India has been improving consistently since last 5 years, and the publisher Global Innovation Index is co-published by Cornell University in SEED and WIPO, World Intellectual Property Organization. There is a news in today's paper that Yemen separatists have declared self-rule in South. In this regard, we'll talk about Yemen a little bit because this is important for prelims exam. First of all, see this map. See this for quite some time and observe certain things about Yemen. Let me show a few things and then you decipher other things on your own. First of all, Yemen borders Oman and Saudi Arabia. That's the first thing you should observe. Secondly, Gulf of Aden is bordered by Yemen, Djibouti and Somalia. Third thing you should quickly see is Strait Bab al-Mandab. This strait, this is bordered by Yemen on one side and Eritrea and Djibouti on the other side. You may also observe Socotra, and this is the territory of Yemen. You may continue to see this map for quite some time and observe other things. I'm not going to tell you everything, but I'm going to ask that in the DNS quiz. So let's see if you can observe other things and answer the question in the DNS quiz. Few things I must also tell you about Yemen, apart from the mapping. First, there are some important ports in Yemen. For example, Al Hudaydah. This is the most important port of Yemen and this was captured by separatists a few years back. Apart from Hudaydah, there is a port called as Salif and Ras Isa. All three of them are in Red Sea. There are Shia Houthi rebels in Yemen. The government in Yemen is Sunni dominant and that is why there is a rift. Friends of Yemen is an organization that was started in 2010 and this was led by United Kingdom, Saudi Arabia and Republic of Yemen. Mostly it is a political organization discussed to find political solution to the problem of Yemen, but however it also discussed some humanitarian crisis and relief measures in Yemen. You must know India has been a member of this group. Last year Stockholm Agreement was in news. The separatists in Yemen and the forces that were fighting for President Abdrabbu Mansur Hadi. But perhaps the most important thing for prelims are the cities in Yemen. UPSC have been asking cities in Middle East, so this will be very important for you to know. Cities that have been making news in last 2 years are Hudaydah. Although exact mapping in Yemen is not important, but as we have talked about, this is a port city in Red Sea, here it is. Then Ib, Mulakka, Aden, Sana, the capital city, Taiz, Marib, Sada. Knowing this much will suffice for the prelims, and these are the important cities that were making news. Today we have also seen some important nuclear test facilities that have been in news. We saw that Lopnu test site is in China, and United States State Department has recently come up with a report alleging that low yield nuclear testing has been going on in the site. Nevada test site is in US. Since 1992, it has been a quite silent site, but recently activity has started in this site, signaling some nuclear test by the US. Nevada test site is easy to remember because you might be knowing Nevada is one of the states in United States in the western part of the country. Natanz nuclear facility was in news last year. It is in Iran. Yongbyon Nuclear Scientific Research Center is North Korea's major nuclear facility, and it has been alleged that first nuclear reactor of North Korea is being developed here. Now let us discuss question of the day. The answer to yesterday's question of the day is option A. Black holes are so massive that escape velocity of this region is equal or maybe even higher than the speed of the light. This is absolutely correct. That is why we cannot see black hole directly. Light does not come out of it. Light in the region are bent, and that bending actually helps us in identification of location of black hole. But the second statement is wrong. Gravitational waves can be easily detected as these are very strong in nature. If these could have been easily detected, it would not have taken so long to detect them. Now let's see question of the day for today. Consider the following pairs. Lopnu test site has been paired with North Korea. Natanz nuclear facility has been paired with Russia. Yongbyon nuclear facility has been paired with Japan. And Hodeidah has been paired with Yemen. You'll have to tell which of the above pairs have been correctly matched.